today what meta is, or what the meta is now, or what the hell a meta is supposed to be. Because
What is meta? With Cyphus and Proud and Ursi.
That's right. You heard it there.
Who's on this podcast?
Yeah. So as just Proud mentioned, I'm Cyphus. That was Proud, and we also have Ursi here. He's everybody's favorite Monkey King player.
Wait.
Right?
I'm definitely not that. I cannot.
Are you sure?
I've been many kinds of podcaster and many kinds of human being. I will never espouse Monkey King as a hero that I play, especially in his current iteration. Maybe if they change him drastically.
Yeah, because let's see. So as of Tuesday, December 13th, his pick rate in all pick was 72%.
It's pretty low.
Yeah.
I mean,
and let's see, his win rate was 47.2% on Tuesday, but his win rate shot up to 50%, 50.56%, and his pick rate's only dropped to a measly 58.4%. Still more picked than Pudge.
Yep. And with his current ability to win games, I imagine that pick rate's still going to stay pretty high. Like, now we're reaching the point where, like, initially people are just picking him because he's new and fun and like they want to have play with the new hero. But now people are picking him because it's like well established that he's crazy overpowered and all that. And so now you get both of those kind of people picking it.
So I mean, did you guys hear Monday where Roland just ranted and raved at me about how he's super weak? He's a super weak hero. He's terrible. He's not overpowered.
I wanna say that came off of a game that I was watching of Roland's where I think he like lost or got behind and was just like dying a lot.
Yeah.
So that is where that came from.
Yeah, as I suspected. I
love my boy, but if he had won that game, that probably would have been a different conversation.
Now he was pretty vehement the moment I called him up, because I called him up, shortly after the patch came out, and of course he was super excited. He'd already had a couple of games in on the new patch, and I had just I think 2 or 3 games that weren't bot matches into the patch. I played a little Monkey King myself, and it was a blast. And I told him, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna play some fucking Monkey King because it's stupid overpowered. It scales super well. Everything is based off of whatever damage you're building. You're gonna be good no matter what the fuck happens. It feels like, and yeah, he very much disagreed with me. He does not feel like that hero scales that well into the late game.
I think he's come around in the last couple of days. I know on the Tuesday show, one of the questioners, or at one point I brought up how overpowered Monkey King was, and he just kind of tacitly agreed. So maybe he was just being subservient, as he's prone to do, but maybe he's come around after a few more games, because that like knee-jerk anecdotal evidence where it's like, oh man, I played one game as Monkey King and it went horribly, the hero must suck, or like vice versa, in the first couple days is really dangerous, and it goes both ways, of course. But like now that people have played dozens of games of it, because in quite literally every game it's not banned, it feels. That people are now like actually getting that, like getting to see enough of a sample size to really determine like, oh hey, he is overpowered, or like, oh, this is the way to build him, this is the way to play him, etc., etc.
Yeah. So okay, this kind of sparks where I want to go with at least asking you guys about meta and where the meta is headed. When you're starting to look at where the meta is headed now, as to 5K plus players, you guys are both still 5K plus, right?
I am higher than 5K now.
Oh, well, that's why I said the plus.
Well, still, yeah, I'm 50, 67 now because I've been playing ranked.
I will be playing ranked soon.
When you're not sick.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
So when you guys are starting to look at where the meta's going, where are you looking? Are you looking at statistics over the last, because the patch is at this point, 2 weeks old, almost 2 weeks old. Are you looking at statistics over the last week or two to see what kind of trends are emerging from heroes? Are you just going to watch what pros are doing? Are you just basing it off of your own anecdotal experience that could potentially be flawed? Or what is your process like? Like, let's start with you. What are you doing to decide where the meta is headed?
All right. Well, first off, none of my evidence, be it anecdotal or not, is flawed in any way. So let's just dispel that fiction right now. Yeah. But mostly, I'd say it's kind of two pronged, maybe three even. It's bordering on a fork at this point. I guess mostly anecdotal. Like what I'm noticing is happening in pubs is what is going to be the pub meta. Also, you kind of do have to look at where the previous patch was heading, even if it has nothing to do with what the new meta is going to be. The fact is that everyone is coming from that perspective. So I look from there and I say, okay, so like what was happening in the previous patch? Things were becoming a lot more fighty. Lanes were like a lot less, or lanes were a lot more fluid. And like just like mid game fighting, it just was more and more a thing. Like even on Sven, I'm like, man, Sven is just gonna suck unless you go like an early fighting armlet build. Like at the end of Boston Majors, like man, the Sven pick by OG sucks unless OG does the signature OD armlet Sven and just fucking fights all game. And then they did. So like everyone is in the mode of starting to fight. And then this patch means moving around the map is a huge deal. And if everyone's moving around the map at the same time, like two people are gonna go for bounty rune, bam, fucking conflict. So like fighting is gonna happen nonstop, and they changed up the lanes majorly, so like it's harder to pull with harder stacking, that sort of thing. So tri lanes are less incentivized. So it's just like, okay, so people are already moving towards more fighting. That's the mode that everyone's mind is already in. And then there were like then they made changes to the game that made them more fighting centric, and they changed things up. So like we don't know how to use the map as well, but we know how to like get gold from heroes just as well as we did before. So like the only thing that's the same is we still kill motherfuckers. So like basically all fucking arrows point towards you're gonna fight a lot in the early mid game, and the lanes are gonna be weird, just like they were at the end of last patch.
So where are you
Yeah.
looking, Ursi? Like what are you doing to try to take in the new meta?
I mean, it's kind of a cop out, but it's kind of a bit of everything. I've only watched like a few random pro games here and there, so I wouldn't say I'm learning a ton from that because they seem kind of similarly clueless to us because there's no like resolute meta yet. I think that the real like Dota's moved to a place where it's balanced enough that we haven't had like a really firmly set meta in like a good few patches. A la like, oh, it's just you just push now, or oh, you just fight a lot, or oh, you just do whatever. So a lot of different things are viable. So the metagame, I feel personally at least, especially in pub games where the meta is even less relevant, even in higher level pubs, it's it's less important to me the like my feeling and like me feeling out the meta is really my go-to, honestly. It's entirely anecdotal, it's not scientific whatsoever, but like me just having experiences playing games and noticing like, oh hey, this hero feels strong, this hero feels weak, this hero like, oh, the old build doesn't work on Invoker, so now you need to do this or what have you. So I place a lot of weight on that, and it's very malleable and it changes quickly, right? Because it's all just perception based.
Yeah.
But other than that, like when it comes to very specific things like hero metas, like oh, what items are big on Quap now, or what items are people doing on Invoker now that the old build has changed, whatever. That is a more specific thing where I just go and look at the top players of certain heroes, and that's like how I figure out that meta. But like for
Yeah.
the overall meta game, it's very much just like I'm just gonna play some Dota and relax and just see where it goes. And then like after 5 games, it's like okay, you start getting a feel for like okay, well we're gonna fight a lot. I'm not gonna be able to get runes as much. I'm gonna have to go back to bounty runes. Shrines are a whole thing now. Like you kind of, it's very natural, I guess, to kind of just figure it out on your own while educating yourself on the specifics with the resources that are available to you.
Sure. I guess I always kind of fall back on stats. It's where my brain automatically goes. It's I guess it's just kind of how I'm wired to even want to begin approaching anything. And so I guess what I've been watching more and more than anything of late is the trends section of Dota Buff, and just always keeping that set to this week because this patch is so new that anything beyond that feels pretty impertinent to what's going on. And so I've just been trying to figure out I guess just how things are going to shake up, because it feels like we've been given maybe a bigger change, definitely the biggest change to Dota I've experienced since starting to play. I don't know about you guys as far as how this compares to maybe the port from Dota to Dota 2. That was a confusing sentence. Dota 2, Dota 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does feel a lot. It feels like it could arguably be the biggest change to Dota, with just changing the core mechanics, how heroes level, how things operate, how things function, combined with map changes, combined with an additional hero, and then all of the kind of generic patchwork stuff we've become accustomed to along the way, which generally throws the game out of whack, at least for a little while.
Yeah.
So keeping that in mind, one of the things that I've heard you, Ursi, and I mentioned this before the show, that I've heard you say in the past is you enjoy, and it was something I took to heart and always tried to utilize to my own advantage. And you used to say, you like to wait until the patch, a patch had just been released, and that was one of the best times to gain MMR, because you could kind of go in and nobody really knew what was going on. And if you were willing to kind of stick with what you knew was working, odds were things weren't going to change so drastically that the heroes or the pool of capabilities that you had prior to that patch, they weren't going to be completely nerfed. You weren't going to be completely incapable of winning. And meanwhile, you could take advantage of kind of the chaos of the new patch while others tried to adapt or tried to try brand new things as new things were being introduced. Do you still feel like that is? Do you feel like that's pertinent now, or are you kind of in the mix of, man, things are way too chaotic to even begin trying that?
I mean, this patch is definitely the largest change Dota's ever had. So with the exception of like Dota to Dota All Stars, that's probably the only bigger change. But that's so old that like who cares? I think my method before, where I would like try to play a lot and climb early on in patches, was more when patches were more specific, where it's like, okay, Leshrac and OD are super powerful, then they get huge nerfs, and then those players are disadvantaged because they gained MMR and they inflated, and they're by like spamming heroes. So then once those like abusable strategies like Omni OD or Troll or Sniper, depending on the patch, get nerfed, then those people are naturally going to be losing, and I'm confident in myself as a player that doesn't rigidly follow like metagame things and really try to farm MMR spamming things, that I can beat those players. So statistically, I feel comfortable rising. But now, like, last patch's meta was not that at all. Like, there were things we saw a lot of, like a lot of illusions or whatever, but it wasn't like, oh, just, pick Luna every game and win. So I wouldn't say that is as applicable now, but I think people that are smart and quick to adapt are going to be advantaged early on in patches when things are not figured out, whereas players that are like methodical and learn from other people, or the kind of players that like to do a lot of research, are disadvantaged because there is not that pool of research. There's not strategies that you can hone, or at least there are less of them, because things just are not figured out, right? So different players are going to do better or worse early on in patches. I have not been playing ranked yet this patch. I'm looking forward to getting into it, and actually playing support again, because like I'm not going to spam mid in ranked unless I'm the highest MMR or one of the higher. So I'm looking forward to it. I'll probably start playing ranked again in like the next week once I'm fully well again, because I don't want to like lose a bunch of MMR and then just be like, oh man, that's not representative. But yeah, so I would say I'm fine like playing early on in patches in general, but that strategy is less applicable now than it was before.
Yeah. Proud thoughts on, like, I mean, when's going to be the best time to try to gain MMR in this patch, and how has this patch kind of impacted that strategy?
Well, okay, so I would say it definitely does depend on the kind of player you are. And I'm definitely a more, I wouldn't say like creative or innovative, but I definitely have a lot of confidence in my own brew for the kind of play that I do, like the Juggernaut build that I have, my way of playing Lone Druid, that sort of thing. Like, I definitely have a lot of comfort in like, okay, here these changes happen, let's fucking figure out how to make this as strong as possible. Like, I'll make a build, the day after a patch drops. I'm not gonna wait for, to see like what Fear does or whatever. Like, I'll look up what Fear does, but it's not fucking gospel. So I feel like the best time is now for me personally. Like, I queued up I played 2 Sven games, and I went 2 radically different builds. I lost the more like traditional Sven build that I did, and then the next game I just did like fucking Armlet Blink Heart and stomped the shit out of that game. from behind, and it was like, I don't know, it was pretty crazy. But that just shows like there's so much you can do. There's just so much you can fucking do. Just do your own shit, or not do your own shit. Just like have a really solid idea on how to take the most advantage of a patch. And then just like go for it. Like you look at Sven, you say, okay, the stacking is gone. Helm of the Dominator is like weird. Just like don't worry about that. Play the more like fighty Sven. Take advantage of Mask of Madness. If you can't take advantage, if you're too behind and Mask isn't really going to do anything major, like Heart's insane. You already have fucking like Blink. You get attack speed from your talents now. You don't need attack speed as much. Just like go fucking Treads, Blink, Armlet, Heart. Like you can just do shit like that if it looks good. And other people aren't. They don't have as great an idea as what they're doing, so they may have a solid plan, but there may not be any logic to it. So as long as like the thing that you're figuring out does have some logic to it, you'll probably be better off than the people who are just like flying blind trying to figure out what there is to do in the patch, just like throwing shit at a wall. So I'm just doing it now, man.
Yeah, I think this is definitely a point where veteran players, and that's not necessarily saying like higher MMR players, but just players that have played the game for a long time, regardless of MMR, have an advantage. Because if you've seen like old Sven builds, then you're going to be able to have that as reference when Sven gets changed, for instance, right? Whereas like newer players are going to be like, what do you mean Mask of Madness Sven? Or like, what do you mean Armlet Sven? Or like, Core Lich that we're talking about. On a few shows, I think. Like that is a thing that is not common. But if you've played the game for a long time, like you probably know that it is a thing that you can do. So that's an advantage that veteran players that have played the game for years and years and years have over newer players. In general, I mean, there's some flaws to being a veteran player. That like misremembering things is a classic one.
Sure.
But I think that's definitely an aspect to new patches and adapting quickly.
So I guess as far as like pub meta is concerned, it generally always feels like who are the big pub stars, right? Who's got a high win rate in a pub game? Omni Knight's always up at the top of that list.
Centaur.
Sure, Centaur. But so as like I said, I always kind of go to stats first. And when you look at the stats, you see a lot of familiar faces still in the pub game, still at the top of that list. I mean, Omni's up there still with a his win rate went fucking up, of course.
It's down right now. He's at 56.25, which is pretty low compared to, I mean, like,
where he was.
He's below four other heroes now, which is new.
Damn.
But at the top is Centaur with almost 58.
Yeah, so you see Centaur, who was up there before, but certainly not that high. I mean, Necro was kind of up at the top of the list. Wraith King was kind of up at the top of the list. Luna was up at the top of the list. Crystal Maiden, Zeus. You're seeing a lot of these familiar faces. And Ursi, now you're kind of talking about, hey, maybe going back and looking at kind of some of these old builds and looking at some of these old things, and hey, we need to look at where the previous meta was going. Do you think people are maybe just making too much of all the changes? Do you think that at the end of the day, maybe this change isn't as big as maybe we kind of feel it to be right now?
I mean, it's still Dota, right? Like, there are still some things that are are established and just are a thing, right? And there are certain heroes where it's just gonna be like, all right, like the build didn't change, it just got better, or it just got worse, or what have you. So, like, even when we all talk about how like it's absolutely like huge change, it's still Dota, right? Like you don't forget about that. Like, don't go too far with your weird theories, or or similarly, don't go too far with just doing what you've always done, right? So it's about gauging how much to change and not like freaking out. I think I would say that like
I feel like the main thing is you need to zero in on what the actual important changes are. Like if you look at Slark, pretty much nothing changed about Slark. He's still good. He still does Slark things. Fucking, what was I gonna say? Like, his pounce doesn't disjoint anymore, but for the most part, like, he's still Slark, right? And like aspects of Slark are good. They haven't gotten changed. Same with like Centaur and Necrophos and Abaddon and stuff like that. Like, they still do the things that they've always done. They still are tanky. They still heal a lot. They still fight well. But if you just like look at, okay, like in general, people don't know what they're doing as much, and it looks like there's going to be more fighting. Like, those heroes are going to be more pronounced. There's very few heroes that really do anything functionally different. It's just that the game is kind of asking for a little bit different toolkit from most heroes.
Right. So I guess the next question I kind of want to ask is, what, all things considered now, what has surprised you the most? Like, who are kind of the standout heroes, let's say? What are kind of the standout strats that have really kind of taken you by surprise going into this new patch? Proud, we'll start with you.
My Lonely Druid build is so fucking good. I can't overstress how incredible this shit is. Like, he is so fucking strong, dude. These talents, I get a fucking 200 range, and then I get fucking 65 fucking damage. Do you know how much 65 goddamn damage is? That's a fucking shit ton, dude. That's a large number. And then I respawn 50 seconds faster. I die at level 20, and I'm back in 30 fucking seconds. Jesus. It's incredible.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts. That's one hero that I never paid attention to because I figured you'd do it for me.
Yep. Dude, Lonely Druid is so real. Get Helm of the Dominator early, and you get like 20 attack speed, or 10 attack speed on your bear, 20 on your hero, and like, oh my god. Regen enough for the both of them. I kind of think of getting drums too, but I feel like just the Dom is pretty solid right now.
Or see any standouts for you that have kind of surprised you going forward in all of this?
Visage, and I think part of that is just like you see him so infrequently, and when you see him, it's usually only people that are good at him playing him. But he's like, if you looked at 5K plus, he has the second highest win rate behind Omni Knight.
Yeah.
So that's like a real standout. Lycan also, but I think that seeing heroes that you never saw before make a resurgence is always kind of a surprise.
Well, how are we gauging surprise? Because like if I looked at the patch notes, Lycan would kind of be a surprise because I didn't even really read how it works. But like after things that I wouldn't like, things that are a surprise is like Lena didn't get buffed and OD is still good. But if I looked at the patch notes and then you asked me like, oh, what about this patch has been surprising to you? I'd be like, well, Lena's being shit is not surprising because she got no buffs.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. I think there's like a key difference, thinking about Visage and Lycan specifically, between reading like a numerical or like reading a patch log and seeing like, oh boy, these are nice buffs, and then like actually being in a game and seeing like a Rax get 4-hit by birds or by like Lycan. Like that's a very visceral example of like, oh boy, this hero has really been changed.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, there haven't been like really like any single large surprises or anything like that. It's been like just a lot of little things, and like everything's changed so much that I just assume I'm gonna be confused and have to like look at talent trees every game.
Honestly, Puck has been surprising for me. How fucking well Puck scales late game. Like their right clicks are so good. Puck will like it used to be like, oh no, Puck is split pushing. Puck could try to take my rack. I don't care. But now it's like, holy shit, Puck took the racks in fucking 4 seconds. Jesus.
Yeah.
Dragon Knight right click now. Like Dragon Knight carry, I love it. Like he's still landing mid, but yeah.
So this has been like a trend for a while, but maybe this is just the kind of player I am, but I wish like it feels like everybody is a right clicker now. Like everybody can transition, and like I understand why, but like it's just kind of disappointing like that has become the metagame. Kind of like last patch, especially people just picking a carry mid and a carry safe lane, and it's just working because physical damage is so much better than magical damage in most situations. And like we're still seeing that, like because of Bloodthorn and Sheepstick and all these talents. Like you have heroes like Puck, like you said, or Quap, that it's like, okay, this hero used to be like a spellcaster that like was skirting through fights and CCing and doing all these cool things. Now it's like, okay, she blinked in, she sheeped me, and she has an AC and a Bloodthorn, and she just punched me to death.
Yeah,
it's like, I mean,
Quap should be right click. Like, that's
yeah,
kind of like a Quap thing. Like Puck specifically is like, why is Puck hitting for 400?
Yeah, I just like because there was a long period of time where Quap was not like that, and that's not this patch thing. Like that's been a while, like a few years. But now it's like more common, and that is a bad example. You're right, but it is just like this trend to just picking like, okay, we have a right clicker mid and a right clicker safe lane, and we pick support and an off laner that have some mix of direct CC and team fight. It's like I want like spellcasting mids that like do fancy stuff. And
I mean, it's not like Puck is all right click. I mean, I feel like the idea behind a lot of these is just to make sure that certain characters' right clicks don't like completely fall off. It's like there's no point in right clicking
or phase them out of the game completely. I mean, that to me was kind of the big statement that I read in the patch, especially as somebody who played I've played way more support than I've ever played anything in Dota, probably. And going into the carry role, it was like, oh yeah, it's nice to play a character who is viable at all stages of the game. Even when I'm behind on a carry, there's an opportunity for me to kind of come back into it. If I'm behind on a support in pre 7.00 Dota, I'm probably fucked. I'm probably not coming back into things. Even if I do manage to somehow snag levels, I'm probably not ever going to be as relevant as I'd like to be, or as I or to even make the game entertaining as a player.
I mean, I kind of disagree because like AoE gold is so ridiculous that like if you're like behind on a support, you can very quickly like get one good team fight in, and then it's like, okay, I gained 3 levels and 3,000 gold, and now I have an item. Whereas on a core, it's like, okay, like I expect to get money. That's something I've always noticed on the supports is like, okay, you could be feeding, you could be 0-10, but if your team itself is like either doing okay or winning, then it's like, okay, I lived through one fight somehow, whether it's through positioning or through just like luck with a good fight or whatever. Then it's like, okay, now I'm fully came back. Whereas a core, it's like, okay, if you're behind, you have to do so many things to get ahead, because you're combating the other core. So I mean, I really like support, and I've never had a problem being super poor. Like when you look at pro supports, they play like true poverty supports, and like that puts it into perspective. Like when the team that's winning at 60 minutes has like a Winter Wyvern with like Soul Ring, Tranquils, and like the first part of and like a magic stick or something. It's like, okay,
Yeah,
like
so
I get it.
With that wand.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, dude, wand, that's expensive, dude. I don't need those stats. I just need the 10 charges. So
I would say though, like side point when you are really really behind on a support, just the living through a fight. Like, don't worry about winning. Like, if you want to get, if you want to not be behind, don't worry too much about like winning the fight so much as worry about living through it. Because like if you win the team fight but you're not alive for it, you don't reap any of the rewards. Even on like Sven that I was playing, we were like winning some game, but turns out I was just initiating every fight and I was just fucking dying. And like we were winning, but I wasn't getting any of the benefits, and then eventually we lost because it was like, it turns out I'm still level fucking 14. So just live through the fights. That's important.
Yeah.
I make sure like your teammates don't notice that you're like, oh, I'm actually not gonna like, is there's like an element of living through fights where it's like, okay, I could like contribute to this fight and like help my team win it, but that's gonna put me at a disadvantage. So you got to be sneaky about it and be like, oh, I didn't have mana, I swear.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And then just like throw a stun out on some trees in the back and hope they don't see.
Yeah, like, oh no, it was on cooldown. I promise.
But I mean, used it on the Slark and Viz.
It came off right at the end of the fight. I didn't have it. Yeah. Trust me.
But these damn, I get to bring it back to the initial conversation.
Right.
So these damage perks that, for lack of a better term, the damage talents that supports are able to pick up to. And not even just supports. I mean, some of the semi carries, like you mentioned, like with Puck. I mean, what he's like plus 40 damage, right? Somewhere in there. Anyway.
40 at 15, I think.
Yeah. So I mean,
Puck has a plus 20 also at 10.
Yeah.
So these extra damage perks to these sorry, I don't know why I was saying perks.
40 at 15 on Puck.
Yeah. So these extra damage talents that these semi carries and supports are getting. I mean, don't you think it was in some ways, though, kind of necessary with the importance of physical damage at the end of the game? I mean, because they didn't really... I mean, is there... I don't know. How would we have fixed the game? And I guess, Ursi, I'll ask you this question, since you're the one who kind of takes most issue with it. How do you kind of fix the game so that you do get those more interesting spell-casting sorts of mids?
I mean, you just, like... Physical damage scales super well, like naturally speaking, because for a variety of reasons, but I think one of the large ones is in the late game, people have so much HP that you can't fall back to like the early to mid game thing where it's like, oh, I just have spells and burst somebody, right? Because you just can't do that. Like when you're trying to kill somebody that is like an agility core that has Scotty and like another stat item, it's like, okay, he has 2,500 health, like. It's not realistic. Like, I'm not going to magic burst him, right? That's just why. It's one of the reasons why magic damage doesn't scale. And it becomes like, okay, these are just farming tools to get right-click items.
Honestly, I disagree.
Really?
Yeah,
why?
dude. I've had this conversation with, like, a bunch of people. Like magic damage, it's not so much that magic damage doesn't scale, it's just that magic damage like runs out. Like if you think about okay, so if you think about spells, right? So you have like think about like Alchemist Concoction. Alchemist Concoction doesn't do fuck all for damage once you hit like mid late game, like because people get armors and like flat physical damage. That's just an instance of physical damage just like falls off like 300 physical damage every 20 seconds. Like that's just fucking nothing. But like
Like
magical
this is a bad
damage.
example.
No, but that's what I'm saying. It's not that it's like magic damage. It's just that like people have more health, so like things that are on like a tight cooldown like get worse. But like late game having a few Dagons, like that's incredible. Like that magic damage doesn't fall off because you can just it's just fucking like huge bursts of damage, and you know that one like how you can't stop it with like an AC, right? It's just like I don't know, man. It's magic damage is like really fucking good late game. But just not if you have absurdly long cooldowns. Like Tinker will fuck you up with magic damage. But
I mean, but not to the degree that he does in like the early to mid game. Like I feel like there's a dichotomy between spell damage that you get from abilities and spell damage you get from a Dagon. Like a Dagon is something you're investing 8,000 gold in. Like that does a lot because you invest so heavily into it. Whereas like a Dragon Slave from Lena, it's like okay, this does 325 damage, but it's a late game, so like the enemy team's gonna have a pipe and their cores are gonna have BKBs and whatever. Whereas in the early mid game, it's like okay, I just did a third of his HP. Like that is like the definition of fall off.
yeah, I mean, like, okay, so like here's the main thing. Physical damage scales better because it has like crit and minus armor and all those things, and like magic just doesn't have stuff like that. Like the
Yes.
damage itself is like fine, and magic damage is kind of getting there. But like when we're killing like a super tanky ass motherfucker, it's normally like them getting held down, and then the fucking like crazy ass magic damage comes in and like chunks the shit out of them, and then like the physical damage is that kind of constant stuff. But I feel like magic damage gets like way worse a rap than it deserves.
I feel like they need to like double spell amp from int for it to be relevant, or not. I should say relevant, but for it to be comparable to physical damage in the late
Yeah,
game.
I'm not
Yeah.
saying it's like better or anything. I'm just saying that it's like the notion of how hard it falls off is like oversold a little bit. Like magic damage is still really, really fucking key to killing a late game core. Like a Sven without BKB fucking melts to magic damage. He's so fucking physically tanky.
But does he
But
melt to the
like,
magic damage or the ability
yeah,
of, you know what I mean? Like because isn't it more about locking him down? You know, while you're grabbing that BKB, less, you know, not in all cases, but I think in most cases you're more concerned about Sven being able to output that damage, and that's why you grab the BKB as opposed to just soaking up magic damage.
I mean it's both. Like if Sven is that let's say I have like a fucking PA and a Skyrath, and Sven is like attacking my ancient. I mean, maybe not Skyrath's not the best idea. Honestly, it'd be kind of close. I feel like a PA like puts out similar damage to a Skyrath against an unBKB'd Sven. Like it's
What?
just yeah, dude, because he
What
has so
world
much
do you
fucking
live in?
armor. Dude, PA doesn't do shit to Sven. Literally fucking nothing.
But like Skywrath, you walk two like a meter to the left,
Yeah,
and it's
but
like
you got a
okay,
fucking Atos, so he's locked.
oh okay, yeah, and PA has no items, I guess.
No, PA
Like
can have full
that's
items and still doesn't do shit for damage to Sven, man. That's my life.
oh god, like that's and also like Sven is an outlier, right? Because he's balanced around having a ton of armor from
Dude,
Warcry.
name like any agi carry, and they have a fucking ass ton of armor.
Yeah, because they're agi carries, like, but Sven
And
is not
then
an
no
agi
health,
carry.
and then they fucking die to magic damage.
Like it's just like it's not comparable, right? And like even Spirit, like like Skyrath is the highest output spell damage hero in the late game because like
Eh,
of the scaling.
questionable.
I mean, it depends. If it's like if we're just assuming it's a core Skyrath with net worth comparable to another core spellcaster, like his scaling is absolutely absurd. Obviously that's not the case because he's generally gonna be a support in 90% of games, but like I don't see a world in which like I would rather have a spell damage core versus a physical damage core in an average game. Like obviously
Yeah, no,
they're always
that's not
outliers.
like I'm not saying that, you know, fucking Puck is a better fucking carry than Sven. I'm just saying that like magic damage gets a worse rap than it ought to. Like a Veil and like a fucking Veno ulti late game, like that's some real fucking damage. It's not like, oh, it's 60 minutes, Veno ulti has fallen off. Like Sand King's damage has fallen off because it's late game. Like that's just not like how it works. Like
You know,
people are tankier in general late game, but they're also tankier to right click damage too. Like
yeah, but
it's still
like
really fucking good.
those are ultimates. I'm thinking more about um like small incremental damage. I just think about it like this, right? If you're casting to continue to just use Dragon Slave an example, which is irrelevant because nobody sees Lena, so they probably don't even know
Yeah.
what I'm talking about. But if you do that in the early and mid game, you're gonna do just percentage wise, let's say 10% of a hero's health, and then in the most like simple way to describe this that I possibly can, in the late game, percentage health pool wise, you're gonna be doing significantly less, right? Like
I know,
that's
but
yeah,
like your
that is the
magical
definition of
damage,
fall off.
your magic, yeah, like the individual things like that definitely do. But like if I think of like really almost any spellcaster, even Lena, like the number of dragon slaves and like combos that you're gonna like be able to get off are gonna be like you're gonna get way more shit off, and you have more like Laguna blades to use and that sort of thing. Like
Barely. I mean, you're still tied to cooldowns. Like, yeah, you could have Octarine, whatever.
I know, but
But
it's not like late game team fights. It's like everyone's a target dummy, everyone hitting each other. Like everyone is just like moving back and forth and being all careful. But it's like way easier to hit someone with like a Laguna blade than for Sven to like walk up and right click a motherfucker.
it's just like it's right clicking. You can get so many items that accelerate the amount of right click damage you do so quickly, right? Like, if you want more right click damage, there are very linear paths. Like, okay, you can get attack speed very efficiently. You can get a damage very efficiently when you spend money. But if you want to do more spell damage, it's like okay, I have to amass either a billion int so that I have decent spell amp, or you get Aether Lance for spell amp, or you get Octarine Core for 25% CDR. But that 25% CDR is a huge investment, whereas you could increase your attack speed by 25%, like very easily, right? Like with one small item.
Yeah,
Um,
I understand that. Like if that's not really what I'm coming at. I'm just saying that
like the amount of dragon slaves that Alina is going to put out at 45 minutes is not comparable to the increased amount of right clicks a Sven or whatever is going to put out at 45 minutes. Right?
no,
Like
I
because
like
that scaling is
that's
different.
not what I'm saying. Like I know that if they're both hitting fucking target dummies, that like the physical
All
damage is
right,
going to go better.
I'm gonna move us on.
Yeah, please. This is infuriating.
All right, here's what I want to know. So as you guys are getting into it, we've talked about how you kind of assess the meta, some of your general sentiments regarding heroes. We know that you know are a magic damage apologist now, Proud. Um,
It's good.
I mean, it's good, but it's not as good, right? There's a reason why all
Literally,
the
I have
heroes.
never said that. So can we get off this
No,
point, please?
I know, but I'm just trying to quantify how god awful it is, and that's why everybody goes physical damage cores.
Oh
all
my
right,
god.
so here's what I want to know. In your 5K plus estimations, as you're looking at the meta now, where do you think it's headed? What do you think are the types of strategies? What do you think are the types of the team comps? What are you foreseeing coming up in? Let's start with pub Dota before we ever even think about pro Dota.
I mean, if it's solo queue, you're not going to see specific strategies as much, right? Because it's going to be a bunch of people playing whatever they want to with some general or some general parameters that's like, okay, well, this hero is good or this general strategy is good. But I think like in like 5-stack pubs and like amateur Dota and all that, I think we'll see like snowball strats that revolve around like, okay, we have a bunch of heroes that peak at the same time because of talents. I think that's definitely a valuable thing. I think there's potential to see some like really weird niche strat that's like we picked a bunch of heroes with CDR or with revive time reduction, and so like they just can never push because we picked some like off-brand cores that have the revive time thing
Yeah.
like Lone Druid, where
Yeah.
like okay, we're gonna play a carry Lone Druid because we know at level 25 or whatever he's gonna be up every 30 seconds if he dies, whereas their core is an AM who can't get into cooldown reduction.
Yeah.
So
So we just fight on
while
their side of the map, and even if we lose a fight, we're up before they push.
exactly, or like Legion Commander, like generally you wouldn't pick it because you want the plus 40 dual damage per duel. But I think her level 25, one of their options is
Her
like,
it's like her level 20 is minus 20 seconds instead of 7
oh,
armor.
yeah, exactly. So it's like you can maybe run some kind of weird strat or like start building teams around like, okay, we're gonna have at least one hero that's basically always up. even if it's a support with anti-push. Like I think that you can maybe see that coming. But I think like as far as solo queue pubs, like really it's just gonna be like the trends of what heroes are popular. But I think that could be interesting. I think it's just gonna be a lot of snowball stuff. Honestly, that's what it feels like. It's like the metagame, at least now in its like very volatile state that it's currently in, is very fight heavy, right? And fight heavy metas lend themselves to snowballing because it's like, okay, we won 2 fights in a row. We now have items that they don't, and because of all this constant fighting, they can't have like just been farming a lane. So that's it. I'm like,
I'm dying,
I
buddy.
don't know.
You're dying a little. That's all right.
Oh
Proud.
well, yeah.
Proud. What are you feeling? What are you foreseeing in your crystal ball?
Definitely a lot of fighting. OD has not gone away. I feel like Lich is honestly such a good support right now. Like outside of the fact that he's broken, like carry Lich is so good. Please don't cough into
Sorry.
my fucking ears.
Sorry,
Jesus Christ.
I apologize
So
for everybody.
unprofessional. So unprofessional.
Yeah, it's a little unprofessional. Anyway, like Lich is just so good whenever a new patch turns. I feel like every time a patch happens, everyone's like, "Yo, Lich is crazy good," and then he falls off because he just like automatically like. You don't need to figure out how to get experience on the new map. You just have it built in. You don't need to fucking figure out how to pull. You need to figure out how to like lane control. Lich just does it. Like Lich is one of those heroes that takes uncertainties and like out of the game. So heroes like that are definitely really good. I like picking Sven a lot right now because I'm against a lot of Monkey Kings and he's all physical and I'm like, yo, I'm Sven. Nothing matters. So I feel like Sven is decent. I feel like Jug is mostly has like fallen off a lot. I still see him sometimes in pro games, but like, what part of this patch makes you want to pick fucking Juggernaut? Honestly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was very disappointed. I played a Jug game. Like I won and it went fine, but it definitely felt like way weaker.
Yeah. AM is good right now. I feel like there's some aspects of him that aren't like you'd say, oh, look, like jungle doesn't respawn as quickly, but also just like mobility is so high. Yeah, anyone who can roam across the map very quickly is super good. Like Queen of Pain, blinking around, Puck going around, moving anywhere. That's part of why I think Monkey King is so good is that he can traverse the map so quickly. I like PA pretty decently. Slark is great. Like there's so many places that you want to be right now. Having anyone that's very mobile is like a huge fucking blessing. Like this Razor build where you have like 550 move speed. My lone druid, like pretty much I just go around the map doing my own thing, and then when I'm like laning in mid, I just send my bear to take people's bounty runes and shit. Like if I'm mid, I'll just send my bear to the enemy safe lane bounty rune, get it, blink my bear back, send my bear to get the fucking offlane rune if it doesn't look like they've gotten it yet, and just like take I can get like 3 runes every 2 minutes, just because I can move around the map very well, and then I can run to the other one myself because I have like 470 base move speed. Shadow Fiend is really fucking good. Earth Spirit I think is also really good. He's fairly mobile. I think Enchantress is going to be pretty gnarly because basically anywhere you go there's going to be some kind of creep to steal. And Visage is obviously good. He's got like a lot of vision all around the map with his birds and he can move around very quickly. Io seems good. Man, just relocate on a fucking bounty rune. There's like a 90% chance you will find someone at any point when it spawns.
Although there is, poor Io is sitting at like the worst win rate in the game right now at 37%.
Well, I mean,
I get that. A lot of that has to do with the coordination that's required.
Here, I got a question for you guys. So I'm looking at a lot of these talents, and I'm like looking at the Dota buff, like which one is the most picked one, and that sort of thing. And a lot of them at first were really close. I'm sure it's going to get way wider now that people have the data on like what is statistically best, or what the fuck ever. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking about this a lot with like how I play Lone Druid and a lot of other things. And do you like? I feel like there's this huge trend where like let's say something comes out and conventional Dota knowledge would be like, oh, I get this thing. Like Monkey King, I want the attack speed because he a carry and offense is really good. But like, let's say, for example, like let's say the plus armor was better, but just because conventionally all the good players would be like, okay, playing Monkey King, I think attack speed would be best. And then later we're like, oh, it turns out this hero needs to be incredibly fucking tanky. But like the trend is already like the initial trend is you think, okay, 20 attack speed. So statistically, attack speed is always going to be built up because the smarter players are going to have the first thought to go for attack speed. Like, does that seem like a huge problem in terms of using statistics for these talents?
I mean, the Nahaz had a really good tweet that now I wish I like had in front of me, but he was basically saying that statistics should be a tool in your toolbox, but your toolbox has a lot of tools, right? Like you can't. I think what he exactly said, he said like you need a screwdriver to build a house, but you can't build a house with just a screwdriver, right? So the statistics, and like these, especially like the talents that you brought up, it's something that you should be referencing, but it is definitely dangerous and counterproductive to just be like, okay, I'm just gonna do this every game.
Yeah. Unless it's like a huge margin, then that just warrants greater scrutiny on your own decisions if they differ from the stats or whatever. But I don't know, because there were a lot of stats that I looked at and I was like, I feel like in most games, I feel like what held me back was not 20 attack speed; it was that I was dead. I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to.
Yeah,
it's hard,
there were some where the attack speed was better. I was just thinking, there's this anti-mage game, and the game was perfectly fit for basically all of the statistically imbalance or the statistically wrong choices. But obviously, it's not like those stats are saying never do this because it wins, 50 or 49.2% of the time instead of 50.8.
I think the interesting stat to notice on a lot of those, or the thing to keep in mind when you're looking at statistics regarding the talent usages, is that if you have a hero that has a below 50% win rate, then odds are even the talent that is the most picked and has the highest win rate is still going to have a below 50% win rate, right? So, I mean, it is.
Well, I mean, not for you specifically.
Right.
I feel like that is a very dangerous. I don't like looking at win rate, honestly. When I'm thinking of how to play things, unless. But I mean,
that's what we're doing.
It's big outliers.
That's what we're trying to do whenever we're assessing. I mean, that's how we. That's a pertinent stat to have, right? I mean, it's a stat that needs to factor into. It's if we're using the stats as the tool in our toolbox, that particular stat is maybe one of the more important ones to be looking at when we're looking at. I don't just want to know how many people are picking what talent. I want to know if the people that are picking that talent are winning with it. You know what I mean? I want to know if, when I look at Monkey King, and I see that +5 armor and that +20 attack speed, well, if +5 armor, only has a 17.4% pick rate versus an 82.6% pick rate for attack speed, but it's winning a fuck lot more than it is, let's say, with the +20 attack speed, then maybe I need to look into why, or really contemplate hey, is there a reason that is it winning because they're grabbing it in the right games? Is it winning because it's actually stronger, but people are more inclined and have this pub mentality, or even this herd mentality to continue picking this attack speed? I think those are things that you absolutely have to take into consideration, and you do need to.
I think just to clear my name, I was thinking differently. I was thinking about hero win rates, because a lot of heroes that are difficult have low win rates, and that's not representative of the actual win rate of the hero. That's just if you're Io, we were talking about earlier, he's probably the best example of he's not a weak hero, he's just hard. So lots of people pick him that are idiots and don't know how to play him. So his win rate's low. So I think you could see that with some talents. But that's more of Kunkka. His win rate's 43.75, and it's he's not if you're a good Kunkka player, you're not gonna by default have that low win rate. It's just lots of people pick him, he's hard, and then they suck at it because he's hard, and so his win rate goes down. But the talent thing, you're right. That's a valuable stat. Although still it's impacted by that. Lots of people.
It's impacted by things we talk a lot about items whenever you're looking at most used item stats, and it's no shit, 77% of Monkey Kings that build Boots of Travel wind up winning the game. That's probably the last item they fucking build right before you're stomping. And I think the same is going to be true for those higher end talents, especially the level 25 talents. You're always going to see those. Have a higher win rate. Yeah, looking at his 100% boundless strike crit, 88% pick it, 65.8% win with it. Well, of course, the Monkey Kings that are losing with it are few and far between, because they're losing before they ever hit 25. But I think those are things to take into consideration. At the same time, though, it is important to consider that that win rate is the win rate overall for the hero, as far as the stats are concerned, and that's all I can speak to here. As far as the win rate is concerned, especially for those level 10 and those level 15 talents, the win rate is going to impact, the overall hero win rate is going to drastically impact the talent usage win rates. And I think that's something important to take into consideration, because if you do have a hero, and I'm using Monkey King just because they had him pulled up here, but his overall win rate right now is 49.52%. If I look at that level 10 and level 15 and I see this weird statistical anomaly where, especially with the level 10 stat, that let's say, so the +5 armor is a 49% and the attack speed is a 51.9%. Well, it looks like the heroes that start off, it looks like the Monkey Kings out there that start off with the attack speed, at least over the sample size that we have available, win more often than the Monkey Kings who go with +5 armor. And that's one of the more pertinent things to be taking a look at, is that early one, that, hey, it's above the win rate. It's above the overall hero win rate even whenever I grab that particular talent. I don't know. That's my 2 cents on it. I don't know. Proud thoughts there?
I mean, so I guess I should also clarify, like, if you're looking at Dota buff, you don't see the explicit, like, oh, hey, all the guys that got the 25-point talent, turns out they won because they were level 25. Like, you just see which ability has an advantage over the other. So it's like,
Right.
of all centaurs who got to 25, like, the percentages, like 4%, or if you gain return, or you have a 4% advantage over those who got hoof stomp or whatever, right? It's not like, I mean, you're just seeing the two talents weighed against each other. And I mean, the only stats you have to go by are their pick rate and their win rate. So obviously, of those two, the only interesting number is really the win rate, outside of just seeing if people are stupid. Like, interesting enough, on Centaurs, it's like 80% go with +30 damage at 10, and 20% go with the 2 mana regen. But the mana regen has like a bigger 2% advantage over the 30 damage, which I thought was interesting, because the Centaur spammer I ran into was just like all about the 30 damage. But yeah, I don't think it's, yeah, I don't know. I feel like there are a lot of things that may be tilted towards like having a better win rate, just not because that they're better, but because of the players who are inclined to think that they're better. Like Lone Druid Radiance and that sort of thing. The players who build Lone Druid Radiance, like when the last time he got good, are I mean, it was the way to go. But like for a very long time, like before any of the changes happened, and like the only good Lone Druid was the Fear, who went like Maelstrom Basher and shit. Like, the only people who were picking Lone Druid were the ones who just kind of like picked them randomly and weren't really thinking, and like, oh, or at least most of them. So they just like went Radiance because like that's the common conception of what's good on Lone Druid. So like that was the highest win rate and like the most successful build or whatever, but not because it was the best, but just because people who were the best thought it was the best. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a huge thing here, is that there are going to be a lot of things that look really, really good, and they're going to look good statistically, and a lot of that is going to be because like that's the pro meta, like, not that they're stupid, but they just have to take a cursory glance at everything and try to figure out as quickly as possible like what's going to be good, and then fucking try as hard as they can to make it work.
Well, and I want to clarify that, like, I recognize that we are so early in this patch that arguably a lot of the stats are potentially useless. Yeah, I think we'll see some of those trends kind of stay the same and stay steady. I doubt we'll see, and we'll probably even see a minor patch somewhere in the nearish future. That tends to happen typically, right?
Yeah,
I
for
sure
sure.
hope so.
So I
I'm
mean,
surprised there hasn't been one already, honestly.
So I mean, I know that looking at those stats is not an end all be all by any means. But I do think we need to. I do think if we're going to be looking at the stats and we're going to be trying to, for players in my skill bracket, I know it's a phrase you hate for me to say, Ursi.
That's all right. I'll
As long as you don't say the high skill bracket or the normal skill bracket, we're all good. I just hate that phrase.
But I think a lot of us 2K plus pubbers, 2K to 3K pubbers. How about that? I think we look at stats. It's I am looking for an easy decision to be made on occasion for me. Or to at least kind of guide me with like, all right, hey, I'm gonna pick up a new hero. Who do I want to pick up? Well, looks like Centaur's a fine hero to start picking up right now. I mean, I think we'll gain a little bit of an advantage by taking a peek at those stats, but I do think at the same time everybody needs to take those stats with a grain of salt, and I hope that we at least give people food for thought when it comes to stats.
Yeah, I mean, I think like the crux of what I'm trying to get at is that when you're looking at stats, you shouldn't just take them at face value. Like, you always have to think like, okay, Kunkka has a plus 5.5% win rate if he chooses 150 mana over 20 damage. And like, you have to think past that. You have to think, all right, why? You shouldn't just do it because it's like, okay, I'm gonna have a 5.5% win rate higher if I choose this. Like that's not the case, right? Or you have to think like, okay, Centaur has a really high win rate right now, in part because people that are picking him are good Centaur players because he's not a like a super flashy popular hero. So any of those like niche heroes are going to naturally have higher win rates because the only people that are picking things like Chen are Chen players, right? And that's not necessarily representative of the average person playing Chen. So I think that's really what I'm trying to get at is that like don't just take stats and be like, okay, well, 75% of the time people do X, so I'm going to do X. Think, okay, 75% of the time people do X. Why are they doing X and why are sometimes they not doing that? Like that's that's like the key to using Dota stats. Like
it could be a way to rephrase it, be like 70% of the time picking this works out, but also 30% of the time it doesn't. Am I in one of those situations where picking this is going to work out?
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. All right, before we close this thing out, I want to ask you guys. Oh, sorry.
I don't want to sound like I'm shitting on statistics. Like, but basically, like statistics are less god than they were previously, right? Because if you want to use any information that you can, if the only clue that you have, like if you have to pick 2 doors and the only clue that you have is like door on the right is 1% more likely to be true, like go with that one. You know, it's just fucking, if you have any information at all that's going to tilt you one way or the other, the intelligent thing is to pick that, even if it's only like a slight inclination. So if you have no fucking idea, go with the stats.
Well, and
if you
let it influence you, sure, but also be willing to learn from it. I think it's probably the best summation, right? Try that out. You know, you were talking about the damage versus what was it on Centaur? The 2
damage versus mana regen.
Yeah, the damage versus mana regen. You try it out. Try it both ways, right? I mean, you try the one that the stats tell you to try. And if you're winning, you're having a goddamn good time with it, and you can't imagine going to choosing the other talent, then great. If you're not winning or you're maybe it's not working for you, then maybe you need to mix it up a little bit, right?
Yeah, just play your game. If you find that you're right clicking more, get and like you're not doing enough damage with those, and you'd like that 30 damage, maybe next game get that. Or if you're realizing you don't need the mana regen at all, get the damage next time. If you go 30 damage, you notice you're out of mana all the fucking time, like go with the mana. Don't let it let it maybe inform your first decision, but after then, let your experience kind of inform you after that.
Yeah, stats should really just be like food for thought. I shouldn't say they shouldn't just be food for thought, but that's primarily like that's the best way to treat them. Is like look at a stat and either think about it yourself or ask somebody if you're a newer player, especially like why is this doing better than this? Like in what situations, yada yada yada, right? Like stats are like the perfect starter for an idea. Seeing like okay, tons of people are winning because they're choosing mana regen over damage, and then like thinking through that and thinking, okay, how are they building it? What is this compensating for? Weaknesses wise, what strength is it accentuating? Like that's what stats are perfect for. Like that's by far the best way to use them. And
right.
Like thinking about Dota at a deeper level can be spurred on by stats.
I'll add my 2 cents here and just say that stats will tell you what is going on. They will not tell you why it's going on. I think that's the best summation, right? That we all know, you can look at the stats and see that Omni Knight had a ridiculous win rate in 688. You had to play against him to understand why. Right?
Well, yeah, I mean, kind of. You could just see like, oh, like if you look at his kit, it's pretty darn good. Like I think I'm not gonna pick that apart, but I definitely agree with you. Like
okay.
that's
all right. Let's wrap this up. I wanna ask you both one more final question before we go. Who do you think the biggest winner of Dota 2 7.00 is?
Besides Monkey King.
Besides Monkey King. Fuck Monkey King. I don't want to hear any more about Monkey King. Proud. Who's the big winner?
Not like OD is still good. Like not the biggest beneficiary.
Yeah, right. So who is it? Who is it for you, Proud?
I mean, the easy answer is Lycan, but I don't want to say that. So I'm gonna say, like, me personally, who I'm most happy to play now, is like Queen of Pain and DK. Mostly Queen of Pain, but DK is very fun too. Like, I'm glad that DK is just like become the hero I've always wanted him to be. Like, really tanky, but his right clicks matter. They used to just not. But now they do. And Queen of Pain is like fairly similar, like really mobile, but like her right clicks actually do matter now, which is like the way the hero was already like envisioned, I think, with its lower base attack time, only getting lowered even further. and like she's just so great. I love Queen of Pain, man.
Ursi, how about you? Who's your big winner?
Maybe Shadow Fiend. I feel like
Oh
any of these
yeah,
heroes,
dude, he's so
like,
fucking good now.
either Shadow Fiend, Lycan, or Visage. Any of these heroes that like was really
Visage.
like objectively bad in their role last patch and is now really good. Like that's like a huge win for them and for people that like those heroes. So that would be my answer. Is probably like Shadow Fiend. I think would be my number one. Honestly, I don't think he's OP now by any means, but he's like really good now. Whereas like
Oh,
last
it's-
patch, he was like unpickably bad.
Storm too, man. Storm is fucking broken now. Holy shit, Storm
He's fucking
is.
good.
So he was already good, and like now, holy fuck, man, Storm is incredible.
LC's a big winner too. I think.
Yeah, LC's definitely good.
I think some of these winners are either due to direct changes in the case of like Shadow Fiend's talent tree, or it's just because they fit the metagame really well, like a Storm or a Legion, where it's like, okay,
Yeah.
this hero is perfect for fighting constantly. So not only did they get good changes, but they got like the meta change to accentuate their strengths.
Right. That
Yeah,
makes
and
sense.
it's not just team fights; it's like 3-man skirmishes. I feel like is the metagame right now. And, like
Yeah.
Storm fucking loves 3-man skirmishes, man. Holy shit, is he into that?
All right. Well, any final closing thoughts before we go? Let's start with you, Ursi. Anything you want to add before we wrap this bad boy up?
I don't know. Buff Lena. She's the biggest loser of the patch, as far
Yeah.
as I'm concerned. Like, I'm at. Oh god, I don't even want to talk. It just tilts me every time I think about it. My poor hero is just like, oh
Yeah.
gosh.
I was
okay.
about to say, like, just think about like when I was playing Lone Druid in every patch, they were like, Battle Cry does 20 more damage now. Isn't that great? I'm like, fuck off, but like you didn't even get that. You didn't even get like she has 5 more attack range again. You didn't
Yeah.
get that.
No, they buffed every other hero and gave him good talent trees and stuff like that. And then Legion's like, or Lena, it's like, oh, here's nothing. And not
Yeah, I
only
love
are
that
you-
for 25 talents, like both accomplish like literally nothing because they need each other to be functional.
Exactly, dude. It's like if you had both of these in one, it would be pretty good. But if
Oh
you
yeah,
have
it'd be like
them-
serviceable.
yeah, and it still wouldn't be nothing compared to other level 25 talents on other
Those
heroes.
25 resource stacks. Like I literally can't utilize that. Literally cannot. Even if I did, I wouldn't be able to right click at all or move.
Oh god, it like gets me heated.
I'm
I just
sorry.
would Dragon Slave cooldown. Well, if only my Fiery Soul gave a fuck about that.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I feel bad for you. I really do.
I went out for the homies.
But you know, maybe she'll return again. All right, Proud. Any closing thoughts before we go?
I love this patch, and magic damage doesn't fall off quite as hard as you think it does.
Man, I kept myself back from making a magic damage comment in my closing note because I was like, oh, I'm not gonna antagonize. And then you got to do me like that.
You just like fundamentally didn't like. I must have just not communicated to you what I was trying to say at all because all you're doing is saying that like magic damage cores are worse than physical damage cores, which is just so not even on the docket of like my talking points.
If you guys,
I mean,
wanna,
I get what you were trying to say. I just like
I'm
wanted
just saying-
to impress my own opinion.
if you want
Yeah,
to tell us
which-
all about magic damage, we're at .p_show on Twitter. DefenseOfPatience.com, the website. You guys can keep arguing. I can do the plugs over you. Don't worry.
Sand
Oh,
King
no.
ulti is good at all stages of the game.
It's an
Defensiveofpatience
ulti. You use it every
@gmail.com.
140 seconds.
Yeah, guess what? As
You can
the
email
game
us
goes
there.
on, you fucking ultis are more, they happen more.
That's where
No, they don't.
you can send
140
questions for the
seconds
Tuesday show.
maintains like time
We'll
does
still be
not
doing those.
alter.
Not just the
Refresher.
call-ins. Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, all your favorite podcast apps. You can tweet at Proud Dota or at Ursinity all about magic damage and physical damage and how they either fall off or don't fall off. Or I got lost in the mix. I'm not gonna lie, guys.
Like once Sand King, like okay, so if you hit late game, like okay, what's an early game epicenter gonna look like? A 1-man, maybe a 2-man
Twitch.tv
epicenter for like a solo kill like 10
/.ptv.
minutes. Once you get to late game, it's like a blink 8th epicenter on 5 like every time.
Yeah, and then they BKB, and it's like, oh, good. Who cares? Spell damage, lol.
Yeah, but the BKB is 5 seconds. Now you like wait for that.
You can get one of these guys to do a
wait
replay
for
review
it.
for you.
And they
Yeah,
kill
you
our
wait for
teammate.
So until next time.
No, you fucking kite it out because you're Sand King and you fucking
This
first
is
strike away
Cyphus.
from that shit.
Everybody,
For
every
Ursinity and Proud.
spellcaster's level 20 or 25 talent should
Saying
just
good
be,
luck.
oh, your spells do pure damage
And
now.
Godspeed.
That's,
Yeah.
that's what it should be. That's the Lena buff we need. All spells do pure damage.
That would
20.
that's what we need.
That would actually be a sick change, like as a talent at like 20 or 25.
I'm glad Lena's gone.